So this is going to show in Facebook. Now it's showing already. So
Real.
morning to everyone.
Morning, everyone.
And then hopefully you see the comments. Can you see the comments or is it just me seeing them?
I can't see them.
Okay,
I need
so
to be
I
on
think,
Facebook.
oh, you can see it on Facebook. Cool. Okay.
Hang on, let me just get on.
So, and morning to everyone. I'm super excited to have Bex here. And thank you, Bex, for your time. I really, really appreciate you being here.
That's no problem.
We got connected through a Facebook group with some spiritual and well-being kind of focused women. And I'm really happy for this introduction. And I know we don't really know each other very well, but I'm super impressed about what you do, which you're going to talk about very soon anyway. And yeah, so I'll pass it on to you as well, and then I'll see if you can make you a little bit bigger, and then you can take the whole floor. You can talk about yourself, introduce yourself, talk about how you got into the whole Ayurvedic diet, plant-based diet, how you set up your business, what is it that you do, why you're so excited about it.
We'll be here forever, Kinga. Yeah.
Just give it your all, okay?
Okay, great. Well, thank you for inviting me. It's my passion to talk about food and cooking, so it comes easy. But yeah, I think it's a really important time at the moment to be thinking about diet. I guess we've all had a bit of a roller coaster of a year, and maybe your diet has changed quite a bit in that time, perhaps for the better, perhaps for the worst. But I think, you know, we've been able to really press pause on our lives and really think about what we're eating. Maybe we're thinking more about our food choices. Maybe we're learning to cook more. So I'm really pleased to be here, and hopefully this conversation will give you a bit of an insight and some inspiration for taking a more Ayurvedic approach to food. So I'm Bex. I run a cooking business called The Mindful Kitchen, which is very much focused on using whole food, natural, plant-based ingredients that support our health, our vitality, our mood, our energy, and then also thinking about how we can make more mindful choices in terms of the impact that we're having on the planet and nature as well. So I run cooking classes online at the moment. So I'm helping people to cook healthy food from the comfort of their own kitchen. And then outside of this strange reality that we find ourselves in, I also do catering for yoga and wellness retreats. So hopefully that will be starting back up again soon. So I'll just tell you a bit about what led me to Ayurveda. And I have to say that I'm not a massive expert in this area. This is a huge area. So it's something that's I've really come to in the past sort of couple of years, I'd say. I've had a plant-based diet for around 5-6 years now, and I've seen the amazing benefits of that. But it's only really the past couple of years that I've sort of started to take a more Ayurvedic approach to that, and it's been absolutely amazing. So I'll tell you a bit about how I got to plant-based, because when I was younger, I had quite a complex relationship with food. So during my sort of teen years, I didn't really understand that food was energy. I just saw it as this kind of evil thing that would make me fat. So I had a bit of an eating disorder growing up, and I would always be counting calories, always being on these kind of restrictive diets and not really knowing what to eat. You know, I was always thinking about calorie consumption rather than nutrients. And then I think I started running. I always try and work out, you know, where was the kind of turning point. But I think it was when I started running and I started seeing my body in a different way and thinking about food more as energy and what it could provide for me in that sense, instead of it being this sort of calorie counting obsession. And I managed to sort of shift myself out of this rut that I was in, and I tried to go vegan. What it would do for my health, because I'd heard all of these amazing stories about like veganism and athletes and it kind of being really strengthening for the body. And I literally never looked back. Within a month, I had a lot more energy, and I really just enjoyed the creativity of it all. And suddenly, sort of realizing, you know, how to really work with flavors and how you can really get the most out of vegetables and how I felt in my body and in myself, and the kind of calorie counting thing just kind of dropped away. And I was eating more food than I've ever eaten in my life, but I felt and looked better than I've ever looked in my life.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing, isn't it?
I tried veganism a couple of times, and I'm not going to lie. And I think I want to get into what you're doing and I want to follow you because I do find it a challenge time to time. I'm a totally meat eater background, my family and everything. And then I get lost sometimes in terms of vegan food and how to replace, because I used to do training and food prep and then to kind of shift and know how to replace that kind of protein and nutrients and everything.
Definitely.
So I'll be learning from you.
Yeah, it comes more. Obviously, you learn as you go, and it's been a learning. And the first year that I was vegan, I did stumble across some problems. Became quite anemic. And I think there are ways of sort of preparing food that you then kind of learn, and your whole store cupboard changes. So you just get used to having a different store cupboard. Really, it's like a kind of makeover of your life, really. But I did find it really, really beneficial to start with, and have seen so many benefits since. But then, obviously, like I was just saying, there were these things like the anemia, and then I was still having problems with sleep, and my stress levels were quite high, and I couldn't really work it out because I was eating such a healthy diet, doing all the right things. And that's when I sort of tuned into Ayurveda, and it started to all make sense a little bit more. So my diet is now still predominantly plant-based, which means, obviously no processed foods, natural foods, whole foods, things that come from plants, and no animal products. But in Ayurvedic terms, a lot of these foods are seen as sattvic, which in Sanskrit means purity, health, harmony. And these are foods that are purifying and balancing for the body and the mind. And that are easily digested as well, because good digestion is the key to good health, really. If you've got digestive issues, that's going to cause a buildup of toxins and inflammation in the body, and inflammation is the root cause of disease. So it's all about keeping their digestion simple and keeping food combinations simple. And I guess with the principles of Ayurveda as well, what I'm doing is taking into account when I eat and how I eat, the combination of foods that I eat, and then the different qualities of food, rather than just nutrients as such. Like, what are the qualities of food that I want to embrace for my kind of individual constitution? How can I bring about balance for me, based on my body and what's happening within my body? So I'll kind of explain a bit of some of the basics of Ayurvedic philosophy, because you could probably spend a lifetime learning it. It's like learning a new language, but underneath it all, it's actually quite simple. It makes so much sense once you tune in. So I'll do my best to explain some of the basics. You might want to grab a pen actually if you want to take notes. We'll be talking for a bit of time.
I'm all ready.
You're ready. Good. Let me just check in on Facebook. Has anyone left any comments so far?
Yeah, and then say hello, and then if you guys got any questions, then we can leave the questions to the end, but leave it in the comments, and we can always pick them up. So
great. Yeah. So Ayurveda is the oldest healing system in the world. And Aya stands for, what does Aya stand for? Knowledge. And Veda stands for life. So it's kind of the knowledge of life, like the blueprint for life. And it evolved alongside yoga thousands of years ago to help people to maintain that balance in their health, in their bodies and in their minds. So it offers tools to sort of sync with nature, I guess, and respond to and navigate lots of the kind of changes of life. So according to Ayurveda, the universe is constructed from 5 different elements. We've got space, we've got air, we've got fire, we've got water, and we've got earth. And then it also recognizes that the human body is a microcosm of the universe. So if the universe is constructed of these 5 elements, then so are we. We've got a combination of these elements within us. But with the human body, we need the sort of right balance of these elements, like the right amount of each to bring about balance in the body and the mind. So too much or too little of any one or two elements can result in poor health and disease. So that's the kind of premise for the kind of Ayurvedic approach. And each of us is completely different. So each of us has a different variation of these elements that differs from every human being on the planet. So you might have heard of the doshas. These are the mind-body types, which describe, how much of each element is within us. So there are three types. There's vata, pitta, and kapha. And you could be most people tend to be more dominant in one or two of these. So I'm very vata with some pitta as well. So I'll describe the different elements of each, but you might want to go online at some point and do a dosha quiz. If you don't know your dosha, there's loads of quizzes online and they're just really quick.
I'll leave a link, and I've got a little bit of images as well, and I'll just leave it in a different post after. So yeah,
that's a good idea. Yeah, that would be helpful, and then people can use that.
Yeah.
So the vata constitution is made up mostly of air and space. So it's very up here, fast moving. So you might be quite a fast moving person. You might feel the cold quite a lot. Might have quite brittle bones and joints. And it tends to result, when out of balance, in nervous system disorders like anxiety, overwhelm, and then as a result of that, digestive issues as well, because we know the kind of gut-brain connection is really strong. And then the pitta element is the kind of fiery elements. We've got quite a high amount of fire and some water as well. So these are quite fiery people. There's a lot of courage, willpower, quite organized types of people. And I suppose when this is out of balance, it can result a little bit in more kind of fiery emotions like anger, jealousy, maybe like power and control. And it can also bring lots of heat in the body. So the body can become quite inflamed, and the digestive system quite fast. So we're just kind of burning up food before nutrients are absorbed properly. And then the kapha type is based on the two elements of earth and water. So if you are predominantly kapha, then earth and water are your sort of dominant element, which means you're probably quite grounded and quite stable, which is lovely, but can also perhaps result in some heaviness, maybe a bit of that kind of stuck feeling when out of balance, a bit depressed. So you can see how you can there are kind of positives and negatives to each dosha and each constitution. And when in balance, you can really harness those energies. But when out of balance, it can become quite difficult for health.
Yeah.
So it's really about sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's these kind of opposite or kind of polarities in life that you can, and then what you were talking about, like even with the whole yoga concept as well, and what I'm all about is every single one of us is different. And it's really important to explore that, explore the different kind of elements and the weights. And it can change over time, I guess, as well. And then exploring and knowing then how to adjust your diet accordingly to help you with that kind of improvement. So it's fascinating.
It's really about tuning into your individual needs and then sort of striving to balance them with the opposite. So it's very much, if it's the same sort of thing as if you're cold, you would put on a jumper, you're kind of doing that when you're doing it with the yoga, you balance things all of the time. It's tuning into you. What do I need? How can I balance this feeling or this energy that I'm harnessing right now? So for example, my constitution is predominantly vata, so that obviously means that I can be very in my head, quite overstimulated, prone to anxiety, up and out there. And those qualities can affect my digestion. So perhaps before, when I was just eating plant-based and I wasn't tuned in, I might be eating like the best food in the world, like all of this gorgeous green salad, raw food. But if I'm eating that late at night and in the evening and my digestion's off and I've got anxiety, and I'm actually probably doing myself more harm than good, because what I really need is grounding foods, more calming, like easy to digest, like a soup or a dal, or it's still plant-based, but it's just taking into account that additional wisdom of Ayurveda. Really intuitive. So yeah, what you were saying about change is really interesting as well, because I think what I love about these ancient teachings is that they really acknowledge that the only constant in life is change. So we can't control life outside of ourselves, and we need to learn how to surf the changes, to ride the waves, to harness the energy, rise and fall. Yeah. So at different times of the day, at different times of the year, different times of our life, it's constantly changeable, and our diets can be changeable too, based on the different forces that are at play.
So personally for me, I just wanted to share, because you were talking about the gut and you were talking about the elements, and I could not pinpoint, so I'm going to do my quiz, but I think I've got a bit of everything. But recently, so I started and tried the plant-based diet last year, beginning of last year. Then I went on with it, then I stopped because I just couldn't figure out with my training how I should be eating, what I should be eating. Then I went to Bali, then I had plant-based diet. And before going to Bali, my gut was really bad. I had these constant bloatedness feeling, and then that, I think, was related to stress and anxiety as well at the time. So it's all kind of really connected.
Definitely.
And I had pains in my knees, inflamed tendons in my knees.
Very
it just all came out, and I went to Bali, then it calmed down, and we had plant-based diet then, and then I came back and I kept on with it. And however, my digestion just didn't improve, and my gut health didn't improve. So I went through different examinations. I'm not going to go into that right now, and now I'm at a point of like, yes, I'm mainly plant-based. And when I talk about vegan and plant-based, I'm trying not to eat a lot of processed food. And for me, this whole pandemic and virus and lockdown is helping, actually, because I'm cooking most and preparing most of my food fresh. So I'm quite happy about that, and it makes such a difference.
And I think it's really important what you're saying about digestion, because it, we can be doing all the right things in the world, but if we're not digesting and assimilating food properly, then it's just going to build toxins anyway. So we're really talking about trying to kind of simplify the diet so that we're not putting so many complex things in there that it just doesn't know what to do with it almost.
Definitely, yeah. And so it's just going back to basics, and maybe if you want to kind of give a couple of tips of how or where to start with it, if someone really wants to get into it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got what I would really suggest is first of all, kind of getting to know your dosha, but also it's not, if you're not used to eating in this way, maybe just starting to introduce food slowly. I would probably start with how you're eating and when you're eating before you do anything else. So I'll talk a bit about that, actually, because there are other things to take into account alongside your individual constitution when thinking about cooking, Ayurvedic cooking. So, for example, the seasons of the year, like right now, obviously it's summer solstice today, the longest day of the year, which is amazing. And we're experiencing more sunlight than any other time of the year. So the fire element is really out to play. So it's reached its peak, and therefore so has the fire within us. So it's that kind of pitta energy that is at its highest. So we can really balance that with the qualities of pitta. We can really balance the qualities of pitta by choosing sort of light and cooling foods. So as well as sort of thinking about the individual constitution, we're thinking about what time of the year it is. So nature is actually really intuitive, because it provides us with all of the answers anyway, because at this time of the year you will find lots of cooling and light foods in season. So a great tip really, because it tells you what to do. You don't really have to think about it. You'll find lots of seasonal food. Lots of fresh cooling herbs, lots of berries, salads. And then also in terms of nature, thinking about the time of the day. So if you think about your digestive fire as being in line with the fire of the sun, when the sun is rising in the morning, your digestion might be still a bit sluggish. So, you know, you're just waking up, you're just starting the day, you want to ease it into the day. So I would always suggest starting maybe with like a warming milk in the morning, like a turmeric milk, or like a ginger, hot ginger and lemon, just to fire up the digestion. And then maybe some fruit, like just to cleanse and just to set yourself up for the day. In the same way as, you know, just sort of watching the sun rise in the sky, your digestion will rise with it. So then at lunchtime, that's when the kind of sun's at its highest. We've got this pitta time, this fire energy. You can enjoy your biggest meal because your digestion is going to be at its strongest. Your digestive fire is going to be in full force. And then the same in the evening, you know, thinking about as the sun's winding down in the afternoon, our digestion is also winding down. So this is when Vata energy comes out to play. So we want to enjoy some easily digested, slow down time. Grounding foods. And between 6 and 10 p.m, you know, that's our kapha time. So that's when we are kind of more calm, more grounded. So ideally in Ayurveda, you would want to be in bed before 10 o'clock, because after 10, pitta starts to rise and the digestive system switches back on, and you might be hungry, you might be doing all this stuff, and then it's really hard to wind down. So thinking about, you know, not just your constitution, but also what's happening in nature, just tune into nature.
Different cycles, the different phases. Yeah, definitely.
And then the other thing that you can do is try and increase your herbs and spices, because they're so healing and they have so many balancing effects, particularly for Vata types. The only type that struggles with some of them is Pitta, because there are quite heating spices like chili and cayenne and mustard seeds. They can be quite stimulating and aggravating for the digestive fire. So you've got strong Pitta energy. You might want to sort of cut back on those, but there are cooling herbs that you can use as well, like coriander, fennel, those sorts of things that you can enjoy. But for Vata types and Kapha types, increasing your spice cupboard is really great because they've got so many benefits. One of my favourite dishes actually is khichdi. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's like a porridge, almost like a savoury porridge. So you would use mung beans, which are the most easily digested bean, soaked overnight and then cooked with rice, with basmati rice, so with loads of spices in there, and it becomes this kind of porridge consistency. But oh my god, it is so grounding, so nourishing, and it's good for all of the doshas. You can add different vegetables based on your dosha.
Is that the one that you use for your sushi thing or not?
No, not quite. No.
What was that? That was another strong, like protein-based. What was that? I can't remember the name.
Oh, millet. Yeah, great.
Millet.
Millet's really alkalizing. And grains in general, you know, Vata types they're really good for Vata types because really grounding. Pitta, again, they can kind of handle anything in the digestive system because they've got that kind of fire. And Kapha, you might want to reduce your grains a little bit because they are quite heavy. So you want to be eating more sort of lighter, bitter foods to sort of stimulate that activity, that movement a little bit. So yeah, it's just really interesting, isn't it? There are so many.
Fascinating. Yeah, definitely.
It sounds quite complex, maybe to start with, especially if you're not used to eating in this way. But it's actually really. I think the more you tune into yourself, the more that you kind of learn to listen to the cues in your body. It's more about that than anything else, than any other rules. Because really, if you're eating, you know, if you're stuffing down a salad and you're not really enjoying it and it's not what you really want, you're probably not really going to benefit from that in the same way as you would if you're eating something that you're really comforting, really
enjoying it, just enjoying it. Yeah,
exactly. And not to say that you can't enjoy a salad. Of course you can. There's so many beautiful salads out there, and I actually tend to buy salads at lunchtime. But if you're not if your body's saying, I don't want that, I really want that like curry, or do you know what, even if it's like fish and chips or something, to be honest, sometimes it's less destructive to tune in, as long as you are, you know, really listening to the cues of your body and not your cravings, because that's
yeah. Nadine was just saying that she never tried mung beans before. So I don't think I have.
Yeah, I've only really started eating them in the past couple of years, but they are really, really, really great. You know, you just soak them overnight and then cook them as you would any other bean. But they're quite alkaline bean, and they're just so much more easily digested, really high in protein. You can sprout them as well. So I'd really recommend those. I've got a recipe I've just launched a new ebook.
You've got an ebook,
yeah. So
We can leave the link in the comments after this video, and then I can share it. And I think the other exciting bit about what you do, you're doing these online cooking classes as well. So I would highly recommend. And I was talking to the girls about it, so I want to join in on one of those. Amazing. You have one tomorrow as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've started doing these cooking classes since lockdown happened, because I've, you know, really wanted to be able to reach people in their own kitchens, as obviously I wasn't able to reach people on retreats anymore. So it's been really good. We've been doing them every week. I'm doing them on Sundays at 12 o'clock, and different things each week. So mostly sort of taking into account this kind of approach as well, this Ayurvedic approach, thinking about what's in season. We go into sort of the nutrition of things as well, so there's like background knowledge to everything that we're doing, and you basically come along with me. So I've been doing different things throughout lockdown. Tomorrow we're doing a summer solstice celebration.
Cake, isn't it?
Yeah, so we've got beetroot and raspberry cheesecake with chocolate on the top, so we're going to have a proper celebration. And we'll talk a bit about, you know, raw desserts as well, and it's a good time of year really to eat these cold desserts rather than baking, because obviously fire energy is high. And then next week I think I'm going to do some plant-based burgers or meatballs. I haven't decided yet. And we'll make those from scratch. So it's really great because obviously you're in your own kitchen, so you're in control. I think there's like, we often lose that power, don't we? That kind of power to use our intuition in the kitchen, and hopefully this is empowering people to be able to trust themselves a bit more. You know, I mean, I'm there every step of the way, so I'm doing it along with you. But I've had a few people say that they never thought they could cook this way, and it's been really amazing to see them sort of transform in that time. So yeah,
it's very practical, isn't it? And I love cooking, and it's just even bringing the people together, sharing ideas, but at the same time you can do what you want in your own kitchen and just feel free to just go with it. We've got another comment. Love listening to this. Thank you. I love talking about this. I've made kitari in the past. I still have some old recipes printed off and can vouch for how lovely and nourishing they are, especially in the colder month.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I could eat kitari pretty much every day. And actually in Ayurveda they do suggest at the change of the seasons, at the turn of the seasons, that you do a 3-day cleanse and reset, and that you would literally just eat kitari 3 meals a day for 3 days. And it has, because it's so easy to digest, it's not causing your body any stress to eat it. It just kind of allows your body to really ground and rest and reset with the kind of dawning of each new season.
And then when you talk about cleansing days, so apart from, let's say, just eating this, what about drinking, and what do you normally do when you do your cleansing days?
Yeah, so if I've actually kind of turned away a little bit from doing juice cleanses, although I've done quite a few of them in the past. They can be really, really great in the summer, definitely. For a Vata type in the winter, doing a juice cleanse is a really stupid idea because you're already really cold. You're probably a little bit anxious because Vata's really at its peak anyway in autumn and winter. So doing this kind of cold, you're putting your body under stress, aren't you, when you're fasting? It's quite stressful, so you're kind of just wiring up all of those those qualities which aren't actually that helpful. But having said that, there are so many benefits to doing juice cleanses as well. If you're doing them at the right time of the year and you're doing them for your body, because they're so alkaline, you know, you're really giving your body rest from food. But I do prefer to do the kitchery cleanses. So I would usually maybe start the day with a hot milk, like a hot turmeric milk with some spices in there, some coconut oil, and then maybe some stewed apple, which is really great first thing in the morning because it really stimulates the digestive fire. It's really easy to digest. And then for lunch, I would have kitchery, and for dinner, I'd have kitchery. But in the day, I would be drinking herbal tea, fennel tea with cumin seeds in there, maybe just literally sprinkling some seeds in hot water and drinking it like that and sieving it through. Yeah, that's it really. And then just really resetting as well. I think the important thing with any diet cleanse is that you are approaching it holistically. So you're not going for like 10k runs on your cleanse. Really resting and
take a rest.
And do some restorative yoga, some yoga nidra.
Yoga nidra.
Not too many social things, no overstimulation, that kind of thing. Like, because otherwise, you know, you're not really allowing the benefits of that food, the nutrients and the energetic qualities of that food to really absorb, because you're just running around a bit, aren't you? So I think that's the great thing about Ayurveda as well, because it isn't just about one thing. It's a really holistic approach, isn't it, to health as a whole. You're not just thinking about one thing, you're thinking about sleep, you're thinking about exercise, lifestyle choices.
Definitely. So, and the other thing that I think it's important for your cooking class is that you normally send the recipes out, so the ingredients, isn't it? So you send the list out so people can get ready and prepared for it, and then just get everything that they need. So
it's really easy. So basically, if you book on it's on Eventbrite usually. You book on there. In the confirmation email, you'll receive a list of all the ingredients as soon as you book. And then there's a link to just join online at the time. So I'll give you an equipment list as well, so you can get yourself set up in the kitchen.
Amazing.
And we talk a lot about, one thing I've not mentioned is the 6 tastes of the Ayurvedic diet. So in Ayurveda, they recognize the quality of food based on 6 different tastes. So sweet, salty, sour, bitter, pungent, and astringent. So different foods have these different qualities, and ideally, to kind of keep yourself in balance and satisfied for longer, you want to bring in all of these qualities into each meal. It's not always possible, but that's we talk about that a lot in the cooking classes, like how to balance the sweet with the salt and the sour. It just means that you're not reaching for things in the afternoon, or you're not craving as much, because you're actually satisfying all of those needs. We do that a lot in the cooking classes as well.
I've got a quick question here to you. I can't see the name, but it might be Georgie. I can't, because last time she signed in and I can only see Facebook user. Bex, I always drink lemon with warm water every morning. Is this good for me?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's a really cleansing way to start the day. And I would suggest having it warm. I don't know if you have it warm, but again,
it's lemon with warm water.
So it's a really great way to stimulate the digestive fire, because if you're drinking cold water in the morning, you're quite likely just putting that fire out. So we're thinking about ways that we can really keep that fire burning, so that as we ease into the day, our body is prepared for digestion. And because it's quite stressful, you know, it's a lot for the body to take on when we're eating these foods, especially now.
And thing that we were talking about deep relaxation. So when you're eating, it's good to just be eating. Not maybe watching something, not doing something. It's really just kind of taking the energy into that digestive system and not wasting energy in any other way.
Definitely.
And we're gonna do an after lunch yoga nidra this afternoon. It's really nice to take some time after eating as well to just rest and allow the energy to be used up for your digestion and not for any other things. So just giving that time for yourself as well is super important. So
yeah, maybe even just blessing the food and just recognizing the journey that it's been on to get to your plate is, I think when we start to cultivate this gratitude practice and we really recognize and bless the food, we're not only preparing the digestion, but we're also just bringing more of that into our lives in general, more compassion, more love for ourselves, for the planet.
yeah, amazing. Do you want to do, is there anything else you want to share with us around what you're doing? Is there anything that coming up maybe?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've got the cooking class tomorrow and hopefully one next week as well. Trying to do them weekly. And yeah, I'll put a link in below for the one tomorrow, and then you can kind of follow the Eventbrite things. And then I'll also share my Instagram account, because I do put recipes on there as well, on Facebook. And hopefully you'll get some inspiration from that. And then as well, I've got my ebook, which I mentioned, and I'll put the link for that, because it's got a really great how to stock your store cupboard list as well in there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You could kind of reinvent your whole plant-based store cupboard. And then, of course, it's got recipes as well, which is very focused on immunity and vitality as well, because I made it with the purpose of this time that we're facing, in terms of suddenly recognizing perhaps that our immune systems aren't that strong, or sort of suddenly starting to worry about it, thinking about how we can increase that immune system, that vitality in our body, so that we can be stronger.
Amazing, thank you. And thank you so much for everything, for your time, sharing all these. I'm definitely joining, not this Sunday, but I'm going to join, especially if you're making burgers and meatballs. Yeah, and I think I'm going to get your ebook, because I needed some ideas around how to start my whole food journey. You got me into it. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Bex. And then guys, if you want to keep this video and thread going, we can have a chat, and then just tag me or tag Bex if you've got any questions, and then she would be happy to just share any further advice. I'm gonna leave it like that, and maybe give it a couple of minutes if anyone's got any questions that you want to share now, or any comments, any feedback, any experiences you have with food. Just give it a couple of minutes and see how it is. I had a lot of not so nice journey lately about this whole gut health, and then I started to take, so I was given some antibiotics to clear out my system first. I was going through all the examinations, then I was given some polybiotics now to reset everything, and then it does help, but more so probably my diet, and then really kind of consciously eating better food. That kind of making changes now. And then I do feel it in my knees, which is really funny, because I had my MRI scans and everything, and then my knees are super sensitive, and they said, oh, you've got inflamed tendons, there's not much we can do about it, you can use some cream or something. But if you start that work internally, then it can help you to kind of just ease that, and then whole inflammation you were talking about.
Definitely, it definitely makes such a difference what we're eating.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can't see any comments, so I'm going to leave it like that. And then thanks again for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a really, really good day. Thanks a lot. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.